This is U.S. immigration attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I'm here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. I also have a very good topic to talk to you about. Now, my question here, and if you relate to this one question, it's time to stop and listen because there may be immigration relief for you. And that is, have you come here to the United States and have you found yourself in a situation now where you are feeling like Cinderella? And yes, I know Cinderella is a woman, but this does apply to men and women. Because if you know the story Cinderella, it's based on someone, Cinderella, who was put to work in the home of her stepmother and her two ugly sisters, and they worked her to the bone and deprived her of freedom. So she couldn't just get up and leave the house and go party like the two sisters did. She had to sneak out and do that. And eventually she met the prince and got married, and that's how she escaped the situation. But in this case, you don't have to think about marriage to escape the situation. You can escape this situation, or you can still, even if this happened in the past, you can still get your papers based on a situation like this. If it's years in the past, you can still get your papers. So you still don't have to then resort to things like getting married if you don't want to get married. You don't have to get married to get your papers. So that's what this is about. Hi there, Christine. It's about if you're in a situation similar to Cinderella's, you can get your T status. And the T status would be able to get you your 4-year work permit and also a path to get your green card. Because once you do get approved for T status, you can then start to apply, either apply early or apply after 3 years of having your T status. You can do adjustment of status. So it is, this is definitely very important, and a lot of people don't know that you can. So let's talk about the specific situation, right? And we have gotten this approved. I'll give you an example. So we had a client who uh, was lured to come here to the United States by her relative, by a close relative, an aunt. And in order to get her here, she promised she would put her in school, put her through college. She would take good care of her. She promised her parents that she would take good care of her. And then when she got here, it was a complete opposite. She had to cook, she had to clean, she had to iron the clothes, do the laundry, and she had to do that for the entire house. The aunt, the children, the aunt's grandchildren. She was like a nanny. She had to stay home, take care of the kids. Now, mind you, an outsider looking in would have thought this was a normal type of arrangement because the aunt did allow her to go to school, did allow her to leave the house in some cases. But when it came to her wanting to leave permanently, wanting to escape the situation, that's where the threats came. That's where the aunt took her passport and hid her passport, so she didn't have the power to leave. The aunt deprived her of the ability to continue going to school when it was time to go achieve her higher level education. The aunt did not fulfill that promise to put her through college. Instead, the aunt made it very hard for her to leave. So, for example, the aunt did not allow her to freely leave. For example, she didn't have a key for the home, right? So even though by that point she was over 18, she should have been able to have access to go in and out of the house as she pleased. She was not given that freedom to do that. And the way that the aunt did that was by withholding the key. So she always had to make sure she rushed home early in order to get into the house, and knew that she could not leave the house because if she left the house, there was no getting back in. This is an example of the T status, right? Now, the point here, though, the main focus is not necessarily the mistreatment. That's a part of it. That's a part of the coercion. But what is the main point here is the main motive of the aunt was to bring her here to work. And then the aunt didn't want her to leave because she would get rid of free labor, because she didn't pay her for any of these. So that is what qualified her for T status, right? And her situation was identical to Cinderella, because there were some instances too where she became engaged, and the aunt at that point made sure she could not follow through with the ability to get married and escape the situation, right? So even the aunt sabotaged that escape route for her. So this is very similar to Cinderella, except the happy ending. Unfortunately, my clients, so just like many of my clients, suffered a lot of consequences, a lot of setbacks because of what the aunt did. However, it did end happily, not with a marriage, but with her papers through the T status. Because as soon as we evaluated her case, we realized that this is definitely T status. So this does not just happen in the employer-employee situation. It happens in situations with relatives. Relatives, I find this very often, that relatives make their immigrant relatives come to the United States, and they exploit them. They take advantage of them, and they love the fact that they can get free labor. They have like a maid and a nanny in the house, that they even start to become threatening. They start to sabotage them. They sabotage their ability to get their papers and to leave the situation, because they want that continued benefit. So give us a call if you've been in this situation. If you are in this situation, give us a call. This is a confidential process. So your relative is not going to know that you applied for this. Immigration protects the confidentiality and protects you throughout the process. So give us a call, and then we can evaluate your facts and then get started on your case. So, and we're getting it. We are getting these approvals. I just told you last week that we got approvals for the entire family, based on a Cinderella situation, right? Same situation. So we are getting this for people who have fallen victim to labor trafficking, because that's what this is, by relatives, where the relative is the trafficker. All right. So I see questions coming in, and I can't wait to get to those questions. So continue putting those questions in. And I just came from an interview, by the way. So one of my clients this morning, it was a VAWA interview, and it went well. So we're just waiting for the decision to come to confirm that it went well. So that's what's happening with me. That's why I'm all suited up. All right, so let's get started. After I-485 interview, how long should I wait for my green card? So we've gotten the approvals a day to a week later. So start looking out for that approval. I'd say give it a good 4 weeks. But sometimes if the interview didn't go well, you can see a longer time. So it just depends on how well it went. My I-360 has been approved in August. Congratulations. How longer do you think I have to wait? So I would say 6 months to a year. So what's happening? In this case, we got an approval for the VAWA, but they scheduled the interview because they wanted to verify. Sometimes they want to look at the original documents to verify that everything is true and correct. So that was what the situation was here, is they wanted to verify. So sometimes if they have additional questions, they may schedule the interview if they want to examine the documents. But in this case, it's been about 6 months since we got the approval. So we're on the cusp of getting the green card. So we'll just wait to see. Of course, you'll hear from me when we get that confirmation. Another thing is, if you didn't submit the medical, what we see is an RFE for the medical and then the approval. How long does it take to get work permit after applying for T status? So they do have a new system in place where they're supposed to be issuing these earlier. So we're jumping on it. We're applying for those work permits for our clients. But so I'm hoping this is going to be a matter of months, but we have to see. We're still learning the processing times because this is brand new. So we'll have to see. All right. Keep putting those questions in the comments. I'm going to scroll to the top on TikTok, make sure I get everybody and work my way down. So got RFE for I-864, then I sent it with a mistake, wrong household number. How can I fix it? So in this case, you may have to resubmit another I-864, or you may have to submit a typographical error form to let them know. Because yes, it can make a big difference. If the household size is different, then it affects the amount of income you have to meet. So you may have to submit a typographical error form or resubmit another form just with a letter stating that you need to make this correction. Do I need police certification for T visa? Incident happened 10 years ago. No, that's not required for the T visa. It's required for the U, but not the T. U is for victims of crime and T is for victims of trafficking, similar to the situation that I explained earlier. Daystar, don't waste any time. Put those questions in the comments. Hi, sorry, just want to know what to do after waiting for the results of my I-130 for more than 2 years. So look at the processing times, and if the wait time, that the time you've been waiting exceeds the processing times for the I-130, then you can submit a case inquiry to find out what's going on. Sometimes it gives them a nudge to make a decision, and you want to make sure you know you haven't missed that they've made a decision too. After 1 year, I turned in US. Does this impact application? After 1 year, I returned in the US. So it depends on the situation why you return to the US, if you came in with inspection or no. So we need more information. How long does it take for R1 visa? So for the R1, the visa at the embassy could just be a matter of weeks, and most of that is waiting for the interview. If you're here in the US, it could be about 3 to 6 months for change of status. So if you're changing from B1, B2 to the R1 status. Got RFE I-864, then I sent it. Okay, so I have my green card. Congrats. Can I bring my kids to the embassy to get their visas? No, it doesn't work that way. So if you try to use your green card to get your kids the visas, it probably will backfire because they will look at it like, well, what's stopping your kids from going to the US and living with you in the United States with your green card? So it's really dependent on what are the strong ties that the kids have in the US to get their visas. That, of course, the kids do have to they have to disclose that you live in the United States. But in the same breath, when the kids are submitting the visa application, they have to show, is there another parent that's living in, I see a Jamaican flag, so I'm assuming this is Jamaica. So do they have other parents? Do they have strong commitments? Do they have exams coming up? What are the assets of the parent that is in the United States? What ties do the parents that are not in the United States? What are the strong ties the parent in Jamaica has that will keep the kids returning after our visit to the US? So having the green card isn't necessarily going to be a strong suit here. Is there a difference if I submit my I-485 before the election, like if Trump won, married to a citizen, get it in as soon as possible? This is what I'm saying. You want to have a process in place as soon as possible, right? Even afterwards, Lord forbid, Trump wins, you want to get your papers in because you have a stronger ability to avoid deportation and to be able to fight for your place here in the US if you have a pending process. If you don't have a pending process, that's where you're vulnerable to be picked up and sent home because you don't have anything to show that you have a right to remain here. So here you qualify for adjustment of status because you're married to a US citizen spouse. Then it's time to apply for it. Apply for it as soon as possible. Don't wait. Don't wait till after the election. Um, I went through something like that. It's been over 10 years. Can I still apply for the T? Yes. So if you went through a Cinderella scenario and it's been 10 years, yes, we've gotten this for clients that went through these situations 30 years ago and we still got it approved. Absolutely. Get in touch with us. Let's evaluate your facts, make sure you qualify, and get started. I've been with my fiance for 7 months together, and she visited me times already. Can we file K1? Yes, all you need to show is that you have seen each other within the most recent 2 years before filing the fiance visa. Oh, thanks. Thank you for the compliments. Um, is Trump deporting immigrants without papers? So he's not in office. So right now, that's not the policy. The policy is they're only deporting people who are a danger to public safety and national security. They're on the priority list. Now, he does have the policy that if he wins the election, his priority will be mass deportation. So, in that case, he is going to be targeting people without their papers. But this is where I say, get papers in, get your papers in. You should not be waiting because you have a better fight if you have a pending process than not at all. Like a lot of people think, okay, I'll just hide and um, not file any papers. So if he wins, I'll be safe. You think they don't know you're here? Do you think they don't know you're here? They know you're here. So when they're ready, they just don't have the resources to get up and find you. And right now they have a policy that they don't target people who just overstay as long as they're following the law, they're not a danger. It's not their priority because they don't want to spend their resources doing that. But if they really wanted to, they could find you if you're just sitting here and you don't have your papers, right? So sitting there and doing nothing is not doing anything but putting yourself at a higher risk for deportation because there's nothing stopping you from fighting to stay here at this point. I got RFE for I-864, then I sent it with, okay, so I answered that. Is there a difference if I submit my I-485 so I answered that. I answered that. Are they accepting asylum resident card recently? So they always accept asylum applications. So there's no stop to that. Now they have changed the protocol at the border to shut down any kind of asylum claims at the border if there are a certain amount of immigrants who are entering illegally. Then they're going to shut down the border. They also have a higher standard to review asylum cases, but they have not stopped asylum. And this is all border policies. Thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. My I-485 and I-130 approved. When can I expect the card? I'd say 2 to 4 weeks. Congratulations. I always like to hear that. I'm very interested. Okay, so that's for another topic. Um, how do I go about my citizenship? So you can give us a call. We can file it electronically, and it usually takes 2 to 8 weeks. Now, if you've been a green card holder already and you're ready to then apply for citizenship and you qualify, that's where you're going to go ahead and submit your citizenship application. We can do that for you. We can do it fairly quickly, and painlessly. Our cases take about anywhere from 2 months to 8 months to be processed, depending on the service center. I've been with, so I answered that. How long should AP take? It's been 9 months. I've seen it go for a year, depending on the type of application. Can you do a waiver if here on visa and was sponsored? No, that's not how the waivers work. No, they have certain policies, but that's now subject to litigation, where if you overstayed and you have your degree and an employer sponsored you, there's a waiver process as well. But we're waiting to see what happens with that based on the litigation, what's happening in court. What can I do to change my status from asylum to company-based green card? If you're out of status, then that's not going to be an option to go from asylum to company-based green card. My employer father chased me out of the house and threatened to call the police. I don't have proof. You have proof. If you remember what happened to you, that's your proof. And what we do is we take your statement about what happened. So give us a call. Let's get started. I got framed by an ex for VAWA. Is there anything I can do? So if you're a US citizen, that's not something I advise on. So I represent the immigrants. So I don't represent anybody that's committed fraud on VAWA. I don't deal with any of those cases. So, you would have to talk to maybe a family law attorney about that to see if there's anything you can do to stop that from happening. Now, one thing is with VAWA too, it's confidential. And I don't know how you would have known that you were framed for VAWA. Maybe you saw a copy of the application, but it's confidential. So the US citizen spouse or relative will usually they don't know because it's so confidential. So I don't know if you saw an application or a receipt notice, but usually it's confidential. So those of you who do have valid applications, keep in mind that immigration did not disclose this. It was probably either the spouse who did the framing, or through the mail. And now what we do on our end with VAWA to keep it confidential is we get the mail for our clients. So it's not accidentally going to any kind of address to compromise the confidentiality of the process. What is the work-life balance as an immigration lawyer? Okay, so I said this was for another time. You do have to go to law school like any other lawyer to become an immigration lawyer. So focus on the admission requirements for law school. And like the LSAT, when you get into law school based on their admission requirements, choose the law school you want to go to, finish it out. Then as an immigration lawyer, it's very fulfilling. So I make a difference in my clients' lives. That's the most beneficial part of being an immigration lawyer. And because of that, I'm busy. I am busy, and it can be tedious because we're dealing with people's lives from day to day. So it can be a very deep responsibility to have. But work-life balance is really something that you have to aim to achieve. You have to find that middle ground for yourself in order to properly manage your clients' cases, but also give your family the attention they need. So it's all up to you. You have to find that balance. How long does it take to get a work permit and social through VAWA? So I'd say 6 to 12 months. Can I apply for PIP? My wife became citizen, so they are still accepting applications. So submit that application, and then Once they figure out litigation, then they may be able to make decisions, but we have to wait for the court. But I say get a head start by applying. They'll schedule the biometrics. You'll go in for your biometrics, and then they'll make a decision. All right. I'm suffering from anxiety with my T visa case. It was received by USCIS 70824, and I went for biometrics yesterday. Is it going fast or normal processing? So I would say the biometrics is on point. So 2 to 3 months for the biometrics. It takes a year to 18 months to get the final decision. But right now they have bona fide determination. So the bona fide determination may allow you to get your work permit earlier. But keep in mind, you have to submit the work permit application and let them know that you are submitting the work permit application in case you go through a bona fide determination review process. It's yeah, so no, very important, because I'm telling you this, don't bypass your attorney or try to do it yourself, because this can be a little complicated. Make sure you do have an attorney work on your matter. I went to biometrics in April for visa T. How long do I need to wait for a response? So biometrics, so yeah, it's usually either RFE or the decision. I would say April to, a year and a half from, well, you went to biometrics in April, so it could be sooner than that. I would say a year to year and a half from the date of filing. Thanks so much, Juliana. I appreciate that. I try to make what I'm saying very clear, so I'm glad that you're able to agree with that. Can I travel with my visa if I had voluntary departure in the past? So if you were approved for a visa after the voluntary departure and you disclose that to immigration, I don't see why not. But if what I say here is I don't give personalized legal advice, so that's where you need to make sure you talk to your attorney. Can I travel with T visa if I had voluntary? No, 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 don't travel with the T visa. You have to have your travel document. If you leave with your T visa or status, you are going to be denied entry coming back in. So please don't, make sure you have a travel document. If you are issued a visa outside of the country, then yes, that's what it's for. It's for entering the US. But if you're here, you got your T status, which we call it T visa, but when you're applying here in the US, it's really a status. It's not a visa. So it doesn't allow you to travel out of the US unless you have a travel document. My request to expedite my travel document was denied. How long do you think it takes for it to be out? So up to a year it could take. All right, I'm on Instagram, so put your questions in the comments. Hi, everyone. I got my US visa from when I was a child. However, I went for my third renewal at the age of 28, my brother and I, but we did not get it back. We usually spend 3 months, 4 months, or 5 months. Yeah, so if they see lengthy stays and they see that you travel often, I've even seen where people lose their visa if they're traveling once a month, once a year, but they spend lengthy periods of time. Then they can suspect that you may be at risk to overstay your visa. You don't have those strong ties. So unfortunately, if you do have your visa, try to make your trips short and put large spaces of time in between, because they are paying attention to that. You can always reapply for it. You're welcome, Norma. Well, you're welcome, Clara. You can always reapply for it, but once they've taken it away, you may be facing an uphill battle. You do have to shore up your evidence to show that you have strong ties to your country and you won't overstay. What's the best thing we should do? Okay, so yeah, that's the best advice I can give. Is it good to walk around with a pending application just to show proof of your presence here? Having a pending T visa. So it wouldn't hurt. Now, keep in mind, if they're bent on, they may still detain you, and you can show that those documents once after you've been um, detained, having those, and sometimes that helps you to get released sooner, right? So if they see that you have a pending process, they may just release you without putting you before a judge or anything like that. They may make the decision to just release you. So I say it's not a bad idea. You don't have to carry your whole file, but you can definitely carry a copy of your receipt notice so that they can verify that you do have a pending process. And it may help, either help you to get out of that situation if they use their discretion, or help you if you have to go before a judge to show you have a pending process. Hi, I have lived in the USA under F1 for 8 years and have a daughter who is a US citizen and is currently in school. Who is a US citizen, is currently in school, and I'm here under B1, B2. I'd like to work or extend my stay. You can't work on the B1, B2. So be careful about that. Um, no, there's no easy, you have to have a reason to extend your stay. So I'd say, this is where you definitely need to talk to us and we can figure out more of your facts. And but having a child here, having an F1 previously is not going to automatically qualify you for an extension of stay or for a work permit. And if you apply for a work permit while on the B1, B2, that's going to be a red flag for them. So you don't want to do that either. If your spouse receives state benefit, can she file for you? Yes, she can file for you. The question is, does she make enough? You want to look at the chart. So there's the I-864P form on the uscis.gov website, and you'll be able to see here. If I overstay my work visa in the States, but my parents started a filing for me back in 2021, can I stay and wait for that process to be approved? Good question. I would say, and you're 36, no. If you overstay while your process is pending, you're going to be in big trouble. You're going to be stuck. It is a 5 to 7 year process, but you don't want to overstay because it's going to lead to complications in your case. So Aline, it definitely give us another call because we can't discuss anything here. So give us a call. Can I travel on advanced parole with T? If you get approved for the advanced parole, yes, but please be wary of the risk. I've had a few clients that have had pushback coming back into the country on the travel documents. I am noticing that they're a little more strict, and they're definitely putting I've had one too many situations where they put my clients through hours of secondary review, which is stressful. So I'm just noticing a little trend here. So please make sure that your risk is low coming back in, because even if your risk is low, the risk is not zero. Now, why I say that, advanced parole is there to have you come back in. But for example, if you have a T visa and then you have a past deportation order, the T visa can render a deportation order invalid, right? So that's another benefit of the T visa. However, that does not mean that if they see that, they could push back and cause a lot of issues that have to be fixed before you can either come back into the US or after you re-enter. So make sure that you think hard and long about the risk. Make sure you consult your attorney about the risk involved before traveling. Can a green card holder file for mother, or you have to be a citizen? Yes, you have to be a US citizen, 21 or older. I've only rerun this year and we are Only here for a month fully legally. I'm not sure. This is where you definitely have to schedule a consultation. Strong ties. So yes, vehicles, property, jobs. Those are examples, definitely. Do I re-enter the U.S. on a work permit? No, you need a travel document. You're very welcome, Neil. Um, how long does it take to do my biometrics after you apply? I'd say 2 to 3 months. That's how long it's taking. As little as 6 weeks, but I would say expect 2 to 3 months before you get the notice. Um, yeah. All right. So, and I'll definitely pass this on so that we can address any of your concerns. So, but please, don't do it here. And why I say that too is we just want to maintain confidentiality. That's very important. All right. Thank you, everyone, for your time. I really love these questions. As always, these are great questions. And I see some more on TikTok. We've been waiting 400 days for my wife's removal of conditions. It takes that long. Yes, it can take up to 4 years. So it's so frustrating. Um, so yes, but you do have a 48-month extension that she can use to keep her status, and that can allow her to travel and live like a permanent resident. How about VAWA? Is it the same as T visa? No, VAWA, I would say is better. If you qualify for VAWA, you have a direct path to the green card. So give us a call. We work on our client's VAWA case. I actually went to a VAWA interview this morning with my client, which was very good. It went very well. So we're just waiting on the letter in the mail confirming that it's a good interview. All right. Thanks, everybody. I will see you tomorrow. Have a great day. As I said, always say like, subscribe, follow, because when you do that, it means that you can see when I come on, and then you can join me if you're available. Also, our schedules are filling up. It's me, Attorney Diana, Attorney Bria, but our schedules are filling up. So please make sure that you schedule your appointment. You can do it on your own, so you don't even have to call the office by clicking on the link in the description of the video or in the profile page. Click on that link. You can go to the website, contact us by phone, or schedule your own appointment. Save your spot because our schedules are filling up fast. And where I have designed this so that we can help as many people as possible get their papers here. So get on it. We can only help you if you help yourself and call. Can I overstay on a fiance visa if we've already got married? So as long as you're adjusting status through your spouse, it shouldn't be a problem. But if you're not marrying the spouse, that's where the big problems lies. You will have bars to other adjustment of status. So you have to be very careful with that fiance visa. But my question is why? Make sure you get those papers in. Don't overstay that fiance visa. If the spouse is not cooperating to get those papers in, I want to know, is there some form of mistreatment that's preventing that's causing the delay? If that's the case, give us a call. We want to help you get that in. But if you overstay and then you don't end up marrying well, you said you got married, you already got married, so that shouldn't be a problem. But if you get divorced and then you're trying to find another way, you will not be able to find that other way. And that's where we've had to turn to the T status as well to help our clients. So have a great evening. I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.